Watching as the National Guard shot gets set and drew prophecy of soldiers with bayonets. Martial law coming, are you blind? It's bigger than curfews. You're stateless and they living off your virtues. Vampiric, touching their hair, you calling them rude. Blacks are dead carcasses, they see energy food. While you riot and run among us, Moors look and cuss blacks out, Moorish Uncle Ruckus. You incompetent, not descendable, playing a fool. Or maybe not playing, cause I don't get what you're saying. You burn your own community down to the ground, but won't light up a precinct. You coward-ass clowns, giving cars blackouts and windows busted lips, and the unity of CIA-funded Bloods and Crips can be a step in the direction of King Alfred plan. If you want to really be free, kill that straw man. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Electrifying age, they use weapons of sound. So yo, we shall overcome chance, all get drowned. Pepper spraying bystanders, the new water hose. Most rioters are undercover pros in black clothes. So on the first projectile to start the riot infection. Disappear in the crowd, get me for insurrection. Enemy combatant status is prisoner of war. Blacks accept the slave status when they're from these shores. The slave ships are your projects and prisons you love dearly, where your children get killed in yearly. You better hear me, handcuffs are the new noose. Handsmen trade sheets for badges and new suits. You damage, you loot, thinking that's petty crime. Marching for rights and revolving door prison pipelines. Either you wake up now or continue to suffer. Live under the thumb and watch for eye of Big Brother. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Ali had the solution if you would only listen. The new order is standing on an older system. All that matters is you think before you feel, and recognize nobody talks in front the pyramid seal. And upside down the shadow becomes a 7. Stop acting like Rosie, life is not the Jetsons. In reality, life is more like having X-Men gifts. Dimension shift when you recite hieroglyphs. Open your chakras, kundalini energy shifts. Higher self out the lower desk, start feeling the split. Start getting your mind forward, not keeping your mind black. Watch where you walk, I've seen people swallow cracks. Stop talking, kill crackers, posing with gas, the truth. It's time to plug in like a phone jack. Finally make the connection, make the correction. Blacks are abused for statelessness, not your complexion. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Let it burn, burn, baby burn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Maybe they would learn, maybe learn. Burn, burn.
And once we find our nationality and serve that nationality, we'll do ourselves what needs to be done.
Keep thinking it's games, you already know these beasts kill you on camera, leave you niggas dead in the streets. You're still handcuffed and bloody, but no 911 calls. Bystander effect in full effect, so watching with y'all. Mind blowing, watching my people holding up traffic of innocent people. My people need to get their ass kicked. Marching and picketing is most cowardice and funkified, while dead bodies just multiply. Sisters killed in their cell. You claim it's hell, you raised and burned down your own community, not one police station. You love pork chops, but I see no police bacon. And when it comes to revolution, most of y'all are faking.
All ethnic groups in this country understand they got a nationality. Because you answer to such stupid words.
Black lives don't matter, but you still claim black. Rather film someone get choked out, but won't choke back. And the one that uploads first face charges trumped up. What you think will happen when President Trump's up? More killing and murders of stateless herds. Hoods are concentration camps now, ghettos are birds. Gun stores short on ammo, they're melting down church bells. Black seek shelter in temples where God doesn't dwell. That's why a foreigner can walk in and shoot up your service. Praying to invisible gods, give you the curses. You pray to relinquish, that's none of my business. I suggest you nationalize with the quickness. I suggest you study law, stop with the bitch shit. In your face, I see them spray the pepperish liquid, then pouring white milk on your face. I thought that milk was the devil. Some weapons drown the noise level. Boys, you rebel.
Because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and color and black. You have
the point that I'm making. Blacks are mistaken. Call them highwaymen, not cracker pigs or bacon. Taking your tax dollars and riot gear, they relaxing. Cause in a black status, don't even think about a class action. Don't even think about rights being respected without getting injected. I see you infected. Then the same ones that violate the laws you re-elected. Your vote matters more than black lives, feel disrespected. Control the Negroes, looks tested and perfected. That's why about being black, I'm skeptic and left it. My people are tripping, walking with arms like panthers who got nowhere in the 60s, so that's not the answer. And black leader, race war, instigator puppets. Teach, kill those who killed us as justice. But have they ever killed? I think not. If they did it, CSA, nobody to show. Yellow envelope, money in escrow. Accounts overseas, not in democracies, living hypocrisies. It's all de jure mockeries, bureaucracies, vampiric, but most can't hear it. It's only the attitude, the regalia is not clan spirit. Until my people wake up, your struggle for rights continue. And your children's organs end up on the elite menu. You love text but delete the messages, more send you with no status. You're in the jurisdiction and venue of the same beast system you attempt to defeat. Only as Moors will you get them on the heels of their feet. Of the same beast system you attempt to defeat. Only as Moors will you get them on the heels of your feet.
the name of a people must relate instantaneously to land, history, and culture. And anytime you call a people by their right name, anytime you call a people, name a people, and fail to relate them back to land, history, and culture, you have called them out of their name. There's no black man or black woman. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only relate to a country. The name of every people in the world relate to country. And once you think instantaneously of land, you think of nationality.
I'll tell you the secret. We ain't had our black people meeting to see what we asking for yet.
Nah.
And the only two people who have honestly given us a good map for what we should ask for are not even involved in the conversation. One of those people is the Honorable Marcus Garvey and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And
No. Killer Mike, come on now. Come on now, Killer Mike. Can't be playing these games all the time. You just can't. Can't be playing these games all the time. Chicago Defender newspaper, 1927. Noble Drew Ali returns after long visit south. Noble Drew Ali, prophet, founder, and head of the Moorish National Divine Movement, has returned to the city after an extended visit in the south. Prophet Ali motored from Chicago to Atlanta, Georgia, where he spent a few hours visiting Marcus Garvey in the federal prison. Mr. Garvey was very much pleased with the splendid, uplifting work being done by the Moorish Divine Movement. Why does this matter? Because during the time of Marcus Garvey, there was no Nation of Islam. During the time of Marcus Garvey, Nation of Islam was not even in existence. So how is it that Killer Mike came up with this brilliant idea that the only two people is Marcus Garvey and Elijah Muhammad, who wasn't even around. He wasn't even anybody during the time of Marcus Garvey. He wasn't even anybody. He was just another black guy going to them to get some knowledge. And they go all their way. Because remember, don't forget, Killer Mike is the same one who had his stuff, and then he went to the Nuwapian Moors and they came out with the fezzes and all that. So these people pretend as if they don't know what's going on. And again, this is merely for the individuals who are finding their way and are content with what they're finding out along their way. Right? They're content with what they're finding out along the way. You can't mention Marcus Garvey and then mention Elijah Muhammad. You can't do that. You can't. And say they were on the same plane. How? You didn't even say Marcus Garvey Fard Muhammad. You even jumped over Fard, who he should be brought up before Elijah Muhammad. And then if they brought Fard up, that's 1930 as well. So you can't even bring him up either. Because the only thing that was relevant in the late 1920s and the only thing that got destabilized in the late 1920s was the UNIA and the Moorish Science Temple of America. Why? Because they were doing the same thing what Martin, who was a Christian just like Garvey, and El Hajj, who was a Muslim just like Noble Drew Ali. And he had the L and all that stuff. So you can't say he didn't know. And notice all those people got taken out and the sellouts are still around today. So Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey are who you would mention together. You wouldn't mention Marcus Garvey, right? Just like with Ball. You wouldn't mention Kevin Durant and Larry Bird. Like they're not even in the same era. You can't put their games as to compare their games to each other. It doesn't make sense to do that. They're not in the same era. Right? Guarantee you, you put Fresh Bird in this era, he'd eat all these people. But if you put Fresh KD back then, he's not getting in the paint anything. And he's not getting no shots up when there's hand checking. He's not going because he's too skinny, so he's not gonna go. He's gonna get one Anthony Mason foul, and he's not gonna get up. And that's just Anthony Mason. We're not even talking about anybody else yet. He'll get one foul on him and he'll stop driving. So it's the same thing with this. Right? You could take any of these people today, put them back in the 1920s, and they're not going to be as popular as Noble Drew Ali or Marcus Garvey. But if you take Drew Ali or Garvey and you bring them to this time, if they just came out right now, if Drew Ali and Garvey just came out right now, yeah, we're starting up these organizations, we're looking for our people to whatever. You think you're not going to gravitate to that opposed to the BS that you've been dealing with? If you had to pick between Garvey or Noble Drew Ali in 2020 or everybody else, who you picked? You're telling me you're sticking with your team that you've been on? You're crazy. You're tripping. Because the greatness of these men is that they were about their people. They weren't about ego. These men were about their people. They're always going to go and bring up Garvey because they need his backing. But they're going to deny you someone who was around the same time as him, born 1 year apart. And they were not going to mention Noble Drew Ali to you. They're going to keep that Drew Ali stuff quiet. And they'll bring up everybody else. Just because they know you don't know. You better start knowing. They're playing you.
All the black people that are running around screaming about reparations, when I said, well, what should we ask for? Dr. King, we know in his last 2-3 years of life, started asking for land, land grants, land lotteries, land. What Muslims want is a document that Elijah Muhammad put forth to let you know exactly what people who the American descendants of slaves should be asking for in payment for what we have. If we're not discussing those things and we're simply saying, what do you have for us, then that's just like asking for welfare.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
So what they want. See what they want. And let's see if they should want this or just get down with Noble Drew Ali's program since he was before them. Right? And he already brought them a flag and he already brought them a headwear and he brought them all the stuff and they banned things and all that, try to make people think like they have nothing to do with this, the Moorish paradigm. So they say, we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. Now, Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that our principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So Drew Ali said, our principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And our principles are so profound that they're represented even on the 5 points for the green star on our flag. That's how important the principles are, because it's embedded in your flag that you have to honor these principles. That's what you're waving when you start waving the Moroccan flag as a Moor. You're waving the red flag with the 5 principles. What do they want? We want justice. Equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or class or color. So they want equal justice under the law. So nobody should be taken advantage of by anybody else where it comes to a court or anything like that, because there should be a supreme law. All right, well, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. And the Constitution is what everybody's supposed to be going by if they say they're in these lands. Especially if they're claiming to be a foreigner. More them than anybody else. And we want justice applied equally to all. Well, in order for it to be applied equally, the people who are seeking the justice must be in some sort of de jure status. They can't be in a dead status or a de facto status if they want law to apply to them. So you can't go around saying I'm black but want law to apply to you and justice to apply to you and freedom to apply to you. That stuff doesn't apply to people who are classified as a fiction. So you can want all the stuff that you want, but you're only going to get it if you're in the right status. And what they realized is that if they're playing the status game, then what we want really only applies to our club. It doesn't apply to everybody. Message to the black man in America is really message to the Nation of Islam members. Because this is just for their club. Because if they wanted freedom, they would say that they're Moors. If they wanted justice, they would say that they're Moors, because those are two of the principles of the Moors that's represented on the red flag, with the 5-point green star, that all the points on the star stand for one of the principles, which freedom and justice are the legs or the foundation of what love is built on. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice are the bottom two legs on the 5-point green star. So your feet are your foundation. You try, see how far you're going to get without feet. Feet serve a purpose. And even if you don't have feet and you have wheels, you still have two of them, which is your feet. It's just wheels now. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. The best in civilized society is the heads of the Nation of Islam, not the world. They get equality because you already see them meet with any and everybody. So because they meet with any and everybody, it clearly looks like they benefit. Because when we look around, we see some other people who used to meet with any and everybody, they got assassinated. And certain people are still around, still talking crazy about Jews and all that stuff, and they ain't got taken out yet. And one guy said, well, I'm just going to go over here and, stop the gangs, and then he gets 500 years in Supermax. Because he's trying to stop the guns and stuff like that. But the people who are telling you you're black and all that, they got the biggest whatever. They could get Washington and stuff like that to do marches for people to go there and stand there for hours talking crazy, as if you're getting something. If you want equal membership in society, you have to be equal to those in society. You can't be a bum talking about, I want to be with the... No, it doesn't work like that. Now, if you have a sincere elite person, they'll see a bum every day and have an interaction with him. So what's really going on is based in nationality. Because to have equal opportunity, you would have to be of the same nation. You ever see the Chinese store hire anybody other than Chinese people? You ever see the Japanese store hire anybody than a Japanese guy? They have equal opportunity. Why? Because they support their own. So they have equal opportunity. You see how that goes? They have equal opportunity because they support their own, and they would treat their own like they're equal. Equal opportunity isn't somebody else looking at you and they're treating you like them or whatever. No, that's rights across the board. You're supposed to respect everybody's rights. That's not some specialty, whatever. That's just what it is. Whatever rights they're claiming, you respect those. Period. Whether you like it or not. Once it's not violating you or hurting you or harming you or whatever, you should have no issue with them exercising whatever they're exercising. We want our people in America, whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves, to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. Now, they already tried to do elsewhere with Liberia, and that flopped. Because you know Liberia is a U.S. colony that was created by some Europeans so black guys could go back to Africa and pretend like they're African. But it's BS. And they know they're not Liberian and all that stuff. That's a fiction. That's a U.S. created jurisdiction. And if Noble Drew Ali, who's before Nation Islam, told you that the Moors were up and down the Mississippi River, and that children, you are home, and the European is 3,000 miles from home, how you figure you came here from somewhere else? And how you riding with somebody who came after Noble Drew Ali, telling you opposite of what he said, when he was Cherokee and he was from here. How's he Cherokee? He's telling you, you're Moors. We had Egyptian stuff over here and all that stuff. And you're like, nah, we're not that. We're slaves. The European brought us here as slaves, and that's why we're here. If that's your mindset, you're already lost. Just put the barrel in your mouth right now and just squeeze that thing. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years, until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. So they got their 5 million from Gaddafi. And then they got their other little finance from what other little Europeans that they can get some finance from in order to keep pushing the black nonsense. And then they're getting their IRS funds for doing the stuff in the prisons. Right? So the former slave masters have been paying them. Have you seen any change going on? You see any change? Or is stuff getting worse? And how come you're not asking yourself, damn, all these guys say that they come to save us or whatever, but stuff just keeps getting worse. Some stuff's not getting better. Well, there's same stuff happening. Nationality is the order of the day. The more we deny it, the longer the suffrage continues. And of course, you got people who are well off and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they're living a good life. But you're included in this. Don't think you're omitted. Because you already see Beyonce and them screaming for help, waving the Moroccan flag, so people don't mistake them as no Negroes. They ain't playing any games with none of you people. You could play dumb if you want. But she's going to do video, and she's going to get the director, caster, whoever. Then they're going to put a Moroccan, no other flag. You know what I mean? All these hundreds of flags in the world or whatever, but they choose that one to put in the video. And you think that Moors are tripping. And you go, alright. Yeah. Since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in a state or territory of your own. Now, if this is your land, and then somebody comes along, hey, you want to be free? You want equality? You see that little patch over there? We're going to give you guys that. Yeah, no, don't worry about all. Don't worry about this. You guys want equality? You just go over that patch over there, and you guys could just be there as long as you want. You say, hey, that's a good idea, thank you very much, or whatever like that. And then you go over there and you set up shop there, and then 500 years later you're complaining. Why are you complaining? You just agreed to that with a foreigner who you knew he was a foreigner, and you still went and contracted with him in order to get a state or territory of your own in your own land. You're in your own house, and then you're renting a room in your own house from some colonizer who's eating out your fridge, and you're going to the store, you're buying everything, you're filling the fridge up, you're upstairs starving or whatever, and this guy's fat on the couch. And then you're coming down asking about, can you come downstairs to watch TV in your own house? And then you invite me over. I'm telling you, hey, this is your house, dummy. What are you doing? Why you have this guy? No, that's the landlord, and he has to get. I just get the room upstairs. What do you mean you get the room upstairs? Like, this is your house, bro. Like, your mom left this house for you. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean he's the landlord? What are you talking about? Yeah, well, as black people for 400 years, we've been suffering slavery under these people, you know what I mean? So I got the room upstairs, and then we're almost set for the revolution and all this. This guy's on the couch, fat. Telling me about take my shoes off and stuff like that. Oh, your own played you. Just because you didn't want to hear what Noble Drew Ali said, fine. Suffer now. This is what you get. I'm not even feeling sorry for you. This is just what you get. Should have listened. I got mine, and I listened. Quick, fast, everything changed. You don't want to listen? Fine. Keep suffering. That's just what you get if you don't want to have a nationality. We want freedom for all believers of Islam, now held in federal prisons. We want freedom of all black men and women now under death sentence in innumerable prisons in the north as well as the south. We want every black man and woman to have freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master's children and establish a land of their own. Right? You just ask for that in 4. And you're asking for land again from the colonizer. Why are you asking for land from the colonizer when this is your land? Oh yeah, you're a slave from Africa, so you don't have land. You don't come from here. Okay. We know that the above plan for the solution of the black and white conflict is the best and only answer to the problem between the two people. How about they just follow the Constitution? Go back to 7 articles, 10 Bill of Rights, and just Constitution. That's the supreme law of the land. Go by that. No more amendments, no more BS. And then everybody has to be identified by nationality as far as international law. And then what's your nationality? British, French, Dutch, Nigerian, Ethiopian, Sudanese, whatever, Mexican, Bolivian, Moorish American. All right, everybody has nationality. So there should be no disputes, because every national has their own national standards, which their national standards is not supposed to violate the rights of anybody else. But then if you have the one group of people who, it doesn't matter what we call ourselves, we're going to be Negroes and all that, then everybody's going to take a position of they could play fiction games. And then that's why you have the world in disarray, because everybody agreed to be fictions. Everybody playing black and white games and hierarchical societal caste system games and all that. We want an immediate end to the police brutality and mob attacks against so-called Negroes throughout the United States. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in white courts receive justice in accordance with the laws of the land. Hold on a second. So now you're asking for laws of the land now? How are you asking for laws of the land now? You're asking for justice under laws of the land now. No, I just put that throughout the whole document. If you know about laws of the land, then you have to know about nationality. Which is why they call themselves Nation of Islam instead of Temple of Islam. Because if they say Nation of Islam, they can pretend as if they're a nation. And dumb people who don't know any better will see them and say, hey, I'm Islamic. I'll support the Islamic nation. That's not the Islamic nation. Just like somebody says black nation. There's no such thing as a black nation. It doesn't exist. That's a fiction. That's an illusion. And we know it to be such. If you wanted to end police brutality, you would be suing all these people when they violate you, not marching and picketing up and down the place. But again, if you're Negro, black, colored, you don't have the power to sue, which is why they keep sending you the complaints. And then you're going and complaining in a Negro status, which that complaint has no power. Because Negroes can't complain about stuff because their status is Negro. What are you complaining about? You just take that treatment, that mistreatment. That's just how it goes. Right? As long as we are not allowed to establish a state or territory of our own, hold on a second. How are you talking about establish a state or territory of your own when you were just telling them to give it to you? We want you to do, because of all the work that we did during slavery times, we want you to give us land. And then now you're talking about establish something? What do you mean establish something? How are you establishing something? Why would you need to establish something if something already exists called the Moorish nation? You don't have to make a fake nation called Nation of Islam. Why not just be the Moorish nation? If you want to establish a state or territory of your own. If we want the government of the United States to exempt our people from all taxation as long as we are deprived of equal justice under the laws of the land, if you want to be exempt from taxes, why don't you give these people a nationality and tell them they're Aboriginal and Indigenous? So that way they're not obligated to taxes from some foreigners. But you won't go there. Because if you go there, it gives up the whole game that these people are running a fraud. Because Drew Ali's Cherokee. That's why he knew that there ain't no taxes. That's why Moors use the CMB certificates as the non-obligated to tax number when they ask for a tax number. Because as Moors, we aren't supposed to be paying tax. Because we're the Aboriginal Indigenous people. That's all. Not because of the number, because we're the Aboriginal people. We just have a number in case somebody asks for a number. Right. You got any questions? Throw them in the chat. So I hope you get the point. The importance of nationality. And how without a nationality, you can be played either by European colonists or by your own. Right. Right. Got any questions? Put it in the chat. But don't let them play that, nationality doesn't matter. Let's just go do stuff as black people. No, don't fall for that. That's not a game you want to be part of.
So I'm not criticizing the movement because I want the movement to prevail. If you're an American descendant of a slave, I want some type of reparations to be paid, given, or acclimated to you. But before we get to that part, what are we asking for?
People got mad at Senator Sanders, but He honestly just asked the question. He was like, what is the reparations? You know
That's what I'm saying.
And he wouldn't say yes to something he doesn't even know what it is people
my
want.
mom said, "No, when you ask for something, know what you're asking for."
Absolutely.
See, what if this man says, "Yeah, okay, I'll give you. What do you want?" And you say, "Well, I want $2 million." Okay, well, here's $2 million. Well, what if it turns out what you really were worth was $20 million?
Yeah.
Now you've taken $2 million. You lived your wildest fantasies. You had the most fun year of your life. And trust me, I'm a rapper. It's easy to spend $2 million in a year. The government's gonna tax you $800,000, then you're down to 1.2. You're gonna get the 9.
If you're Aboriginal and Indigenous, they couldn't tax you. Peace Lex, all the lives get saved on Canaanland IGTV. So all the lives are on there. And they're also uploaded to some of them. Some of them are uploaded to Canaanland Moore's YouTube as well. Right. Did you hear what he just said? As a rapper, if you make $1 million, they're gonna tax you $800,000. Yeah, we should listen to know. He's a rapper. He should know. He should know. Now let's just say they don't tax you that. Let's just say they tax you $400,000 on $1 million. Why? Why would you get taxed that much? You get taxed that much, and then you're leaving happy still, and then you have to pay the lawyer on top of that, because remember the lawyer, and then the agent has to get his whatever, right? Everybody has to get their little cut of your whatever it is. And then you realize that they didn't even pay you. Because the money was really the energy that you used. So as Moors, being Aboriginal and Indigenous people, we have the right to self-identify. So when Noble Drew Ali said in the 1920s that he's going to issue nationality cards, that was actually ID to prove your status. Now, there's individuals who are Moors, who they have this knowledge, they have the card, but they don't need the card to get taxes off. Because it's bigger than a card being shown. It's about who you are. If you look like a nigger, you're probably not going to get taxes off. If you look like you should get taxes off, they'll probably take it off. Because weird times that we live in right now. You know, a lot of things are artificial. Like, people aren't really people. People are what they were taught to be. Like, people didn't grow up falling off their bike and stuff like that or whatever. They grew up riding bike on a controller on the TV. That's how they rode bike. Right? So even on that level, More said in the chat that more say that I'm tax exempt and they don't even ask for anything. They just take off the tax. Now how are we looking at that? Does that mean that they know? Is there some secret little thing that, oh yeah, anytime black guys come in here, if they say no taxes, just take it off. Don't even ask any questions. because only ones that have that knowledge would know to say, I'm not tax exempt. And also too, connect with some of the mothers that are in this chat, DM them, so you could have other sisters to bounce your ideas off, build with, or whatever. Because we keep saying that it's really when the mothers get it together that this stuff is going to get together. And the mothers getting it together, meaning them getting with themselves. You know? Right? So like we say, all these videos and stuff we're doing, we're just sons doing the job of mother, because mother's unconscious. Mother's not ready for those reins yet. So we do it. No. Like we do it. But really, it's about the mothers. Even Drew Ali and Garvey told us that. Have a greater respect for womanhood. Because that's really how we're getting out of the mess. It's going to be women. Guaranteed. But she has to be the one to recognize that she's the great goddess of the universe. And then when mother realized that she's mother, and then everybody who's under her is a son, and she doesn't have any daughters, all she has is sisters. But then she only has sons. She doesn't have husbands and all that stuff. Everybody's a son. And then all sons have to realize they're sons. You're not king of anything. How you a king when the throne you sit on is her lap? And then the throne she sits on is her lap. How are you somebody? How? Not anybody. You're just the nipples that don't work. So there has to be honors to mother. And then trust me, once mother says it's on, it's gonna be on. And they're not gonna be able to stop it either, because you already know how the brother does for moms. You already know. Dude will even not shoot dude, or I saw you were your mom, so I let you go and stuff like that. Arch enemy didn't kill his enemy because he was with his mom. So once mother gets it going, which they are, you know what I mean? Don't make it seem like there's not mothers out there who study and know who they are and all that. They're definitely awake and awakening. So connect with, especially up in these chats, ours, connect with these mothers up in here. You know what I mean? These are the people who you want in your little sister circle and all that type of stuff that you have to do, that I don't know anything about. I just hear about it, but I get the concept. And you know what I mean, if I was having a sister circle, like I would want it with mothers who are on this, mothers who are in a serious chat, mothers who are in MHHS chat boards or whatever, sister standing on law level mothers. if I was gonna do anything with some mothers, it's not gonna be with some quacks. Just because we're sisters, no. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Well, what we noticed with the quality fez thing is that the only place you can get them, from what we've seen, because of the lack of support. Right? Moors have stuff hard. So there's a few times where, you know, we went to get some fezzes from Moors, and when you get the fez, it's like some bootleg looking fez or whatever, and you're like, oh, what is this? This is not the one I saw in the video and all that, right? So we found out that there was a spot in Chicago called Lauder, which is where all the Masons get their stuff from. Lauterer, lauder.com. And on their site, they got a Moorish American section where you can go get Moorish American things, including fezzes. And then you get it, and then your stuff, you know, is there in time. It's in the box properly. Nothing's not messed up with it. You know, everything's straight. There's no issues. You know, people say, "Oh, you support your brother. Why you support?" Because I've tried supporting my brothers, and unfortunately, they don't got the fez stuff together. If I want, you know what I'm saying, I am not black t-shirt, oh yeah, okay, I could get that. I'll get that, that'll be no problem, packaged up properly and all that, right? If I want a Moors hat, oh yes, everything's gonna be good, packaged up, it'll come on time, everything. Fez, some type of madness. It gets there, it's not really a fez, it's something somebody sewed together to try to make it look like it and all this, and it's like, it doesn't have to be all of that. You know. Lauder, George Lauder, LAUTERER.com. You know, and of course, you know, the price has gone up and stuff like that. You know, it used to be, I don't even go on to order there anymore. When Moors are making their order, I just throw my finance in and get my, you know, my one or two. But that's the spot that we would go to for the fezzes that we want. Yeah, don't get fezzes from Amazon. That's a mistake. Because our issue too, without here, is conversion. Conversion plus border customs BS. Right? So we get hit hard most times because of that fraud. But it is what it is. Any questions, throw them in the chat. Nothing specific, whatever.
Nicest house you can find. If you're in the South, you can probably get a nice one for $600,000. So you got $600,000 left, and then you have the rest of your life to figure that out. You're probably gonna buy a Lamborghini Jeep.
Mm-hmm. Something dumb.
Yeah.
Big ass chain.
You get what I'm saying? So we got to start asking ourselves, okay, what can we learn from other groups? Now, what I would, if asked, I would say, if George is 35% African American, then I would want 35% of the marijuana business from hence going forth to be African American. That means in terms of land ownership, growth, and development. I would like for some type of land lottery to be given. I've had to do a lot of research on this too, because you know, you get your nuts checked, you go read.
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass never thought the United States should have to give reparations. Frederick Douglass, who was the most photographed person in the 19th century, the Barack Obama of his time, thought that only the people who owned slaves should be responsible for it. See, I disagree with that. But he was an actual slave.
Wow.
So who am I going to argue?
No, stop this. Frederick Douglass used freeman papers to get free. He didn't buy his way. He didn't wait till slavery was over. He snuck out of slavery by claiming that he was a free man. Look at all his pictures, hair combed and all that stuff, right? He's not looking like a nigger. Snuck out of slavery. Snuck on a train. Snuck on a train pretending to be a sailor with somebody else's papers and got away with it. It was that easy. That's just like today. No, they run up on some people and whatever. I'm national. All right, you go over there, and then they deal with everybody else like Negro. You get it, but it's they're playing a game with you. They're playing a game. They know what the answer is. They know how to solve our problems. You know? Like, I don't believe either that only slave masters should be responsible. Overseers should be responsible too. All those Asiatics that helped, they should be responsible too. Which includes some of these people who their whole family are police or whatever that go around murdering people. You know? One bad apple does spoil the bunch if it stays there long enough. And it seems like, you know,
you would actually say, but see, for me, if the government allowed it, the government should acclimate something.
Yeah, because everybody reaped the benefits of it that
so
way.
What I would like to do as a black community is for us to start holding some Sunday meetings that are not online, that are not on live, and let's start talking what we want and what we deserve. Because 54% of all African Americans live in the South. The South is still great in terms of land ownership. We could own that part of the country. Essentially, I want black people to think of yourself as Mormon in the South as Utah. I want you to start thinking, what could we do from a power-based perspective there? And then let's put it in.
You know, they made a reference point. Again, Mormon. Why would he make the reference point of saying like Mormon? Mormon know that they call themselves Mormon because they followed what the Moors did. And they claimed a status that was outside the jurisdiction of U.S. Because remember, they're foreigners too. They're not from here. So they're not really the Mormon. They're pretending to be Mormon. Because the Mormon want to be Negro, black, colored people, want to be black people with a black community instead of being Mormon. Play ourselves out of our own stuff. We're the Mormons, not some Europeans. They stole your birthright. And they're just little house on the prairie dancing through the tulips is your tulips. That's your sunflowers that they're dancing under. Study, study, study. Show yourself approved to yourself. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the mothers worldwide. And supreme honors to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali.